what I'm saying. And it's a very, very strange situation. And here I'm doing it for the public good, for the science group good. It's not about me. It's about how we can advance the science together. This is why we need that forum, you see. If you can make your own conference, for example, right? You know that maybe there's a conference by the Heartland Institute, which I love dearly to go. They invited me, I go. And then they label them to be some kind of right-wing thing. Then you have less credibility. Here, remember what I was telling you, I'm doing this scientist fighting back for science, right? So I wanted to do it this way. And then all of a sudden, it didn't even get started. I guess the show hasn't even got started. It's already ended.
But maybe, maybe the silver lining of this is that this true dialogue and true inquiry and synthesis of historical information and discovery is supposed to happen under a different context and umbrella where free thinking, free thought, open inquiry, and contributions on a whole systems level can truly happen. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, but it's obviously a very, very impossible thing. I mean, it's just very difficult, especially for such a organization. By the way, this organization does have the position statement that, man-made carbon dioxide is damaging the earth, so we have to do something. I mean, they have done a lot of this inappropriate thing, in my opinion, even as a science organization, where, it's obviously the signature of that position statement was basically the upper echelon of the group, but it doesn't. Even though I'm one of the members, but I certainly do not share the view. This is where now this day, all this big scientific organization is no longer representing science even. They're representing the interests of the politician. I would even go as far as the view of Al Gore, for example, because it's highly praised. The man is basically a walking god for them, where he has not done anything worthy or even close to something useful for science. In my opinion, he has done a few things. For example, allowing the Russian to share their Arctic data with us, so we know a lot more about the Arctic Ocean. Yeah, as a politician, he has done some of that kind of thing. He's not totally evil, we know that. But then still, how come free science inquiry could not prevail? That's the bottom line that kind of bothers me quite a lot. Which of course, I'm not complaining. I'm just simply saying that, look, these are example after example of that sort of madness and insanity that's going on. That is truly bad. If we don't let people know more about this, maybe there will be some impact. I don't know. People should be able to say that, hey, what you politicians should do is basically that stop interfering with science. That's it. You should fund science as a basic science, and then instead of just always tagging along with some price tag, you can only do this if you're going to promise this super duper nonsense. They're actually basically tagging along all of that now. This is the way now actually all over the world the science is being done. If you propose something, you got to talk about the consequence, the outcome that you're going to get, that is beneficial to society and science, which in some areas is certainly true, of course. But in most of the basic science that we really need to get done, to have certain breakthrough in our understanding, just could not have that kind of prescription.
And that's why you have to have a different kind of financing capability. See, in my view, there's no shortage of money in the world. What there's a restriction of or limitation of is the consciousness and the mindset and the paradigm behind the money. Millions and millions of people are trying to raise money for things they want to do. Mm-hmm. And they constantly chase capital or where they think capital is. And I tell them, you could do that till the cows come in. You have to make sure that the consciousness and the mindset and the paradigm behind the money is a fit for what you're trying to accomplish, because otherwise you have an oil and water mix. It doesn't matter. It's literally the frequency behind the money, kind of like we were talking about the oceans have an alkaline or an acidic base. Money is the same thing. There's an alkalinity, acidity, consciousness behind money. So, for example, I'm just sharing this with you, if many of the universities in academia in general has been co-opted or polluted and is acidic in its mindset and paradigm, the way that it works to obstruct true discovery, it means that you have to set new ventures in motion with a different kind of funding from totally different methods and means. and be willing to not count on and depend on money coming from groups and institutions that are co-opted, have a political agenda, and will tie the hands down of true discovery.
Very well. I mean, I fully accept that point. I mean, I can give one more example in my personal experience. I know a person by the name of Arthur Robinson. He's really my personal hero in science in a lot of ways. He's at a stage today that he's no longer willing to take government money to do scientific research. All his money now that he's doing, great research, groundbreaking work, okay, is done with his young kids and great kids, by the name of Noah Robinson, who finished Caltech chemistry PhD in 3 years. Really brilliant kid. They're doing really interesting work on molecular clock, okay? Essentially the idea that big molecule of certain kind of protein can remember time. It was his pioneering research. He has things that is running for $2 million now, all from private donation, by the way. He wrote a newsletter called Access to Energy.
What's it called?
Access to Energy.
Access to Energy.
Right. And he done all kinds of things, of course, homeschooling, that kind of stuff, homeschool curriculum. But just to give you a background of his brilliance is that, he was handpicked by Linus Pauling. Linus Pauling is among the few who have 2 Nobel Prizes to be his first director of the Linus Pauling Institute. And then he, of course, have a very sort of violent parting way with Linus Pauling because as Linus Pauling gets older and older, he tends to want to go into the direction in which where he wants to say that vitamin C is the miracle cure for all, right? Where he emphasized that you have to take a lot of vitamin C to the point where Ed Robinson was also interested in the question, so doing those kind of laboratory experiment and so on and so forth, but to the point where he's actually, when the data is not going the way, he's trying to force kind of cajole Ed Robinson to go that way. Ed Robinson is a true scientist who would never do that. So when he refused to do that, you can see the consequence, right? The situation. So they parted way with lawsuits, so on and so forth. But Ed Robinson is also one of those people who's capable. For example, he gave me an example in his experience. He knew, for example, how to make an analyzer a long time ago, of tracing chemical elements in blood or urine, for example, that could, let's say, test, 1,000 of the elements at the same time.
Wow.
But nobody wants it. All the companies, all this big technology company is not about saving life, honestly.
I know.
At that time, they kind of want you to have a machine that can test one at a time. This is where the disgusting about how goodwill turned into really totally ugly thing that I got very angry about it too myself. But I'm not his caliber. That's the whole point. So he's a very independent person. Now he's pursuing his research that way quietly. Leave me alone. He's just doing his own science now. I mean, I'm to the point where I could go that route because I'm just tired. This is not the way to do science. I would never go back on science, of course, because ultimately this is my life, the whole thing. I always loved science ever since I was a kid. And I always wanted to learn science. I never doubt in with 1 minute to try to cheat or tell anything untruth. Everything that I tell you, if it's untrue, please come back and tell me that, okay, you say this and this that is not true. Then I will check the fact. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you, Kim, I'm wrong. That's it. It's that kind of clarity and truth that I demanded myself. There's no way that I'm going to put out something junk, like this. I'm not willing there to gain something for one day or something. It's all for permanent, for something that is truthful. And this is why when I see science is being manipulated in such a way, it's just very intolerable. And then, of course, this is why I told you that last 5 years I've become very active. Anybody who wants me to speak. I mean, one time I was at my own local Salem State College over here where I live in Salem, Massachusetts. Some Republican group is asking me to speak. I don't care, of course. If the Greenpeace asks me to keep, please I'll go. But of course, somehow they never invited me, of course. But I went. There was maybe, I would say, 6 people, in the audience. I'm more than happy to even be able to reach 1 people. That's fine, And in it, 6 people is basically those people from that club. And then there were 2 professors from the Salem State Geology Department. They are basically believer in CO2. What they were so worried about is basically these 6 people are being, I guess, indoctrinated by my power of persuasion to talk about global warming. And they were in there constantly interrupting the talks, constantly trying to not let me talk, even to 6 people. I was just fairly amused and somewhat saddened too. What are they trying to do? What are they so afraid of? To the point, actually, in the end, maybe 30 minutes later, he got mad, and then he started to say, I'm not, because I keep answering him questions. He started to get mad. He said, I'm going to deal with it. I'm going home. Okay, please.